Welcome to the Vintage Ballers Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Coreno. And on this episode, we have Mike Spitz joining us on the show. Mike is the owner of Mr. Throwback, which is one of North America's premier vintage sports apparel stores. So without further ado, please welcome Mike Spitz. I want to take it back to your youth and
Sure.
you know, obviously growing up in New York. How did you develop a love for sports? I mean, I know it's everywhere in New York, but was it one team that got you into sports, or was it just your general love?
So it's funny because actually, so I'm from Long Island growing up there. And, you're a kid, you're always, on these like basketball and baseball teams, little league type, stuff. My dad personally was not a big basketball fan. We were actually Yankee fans, like huge Yankee fans. Literally, I remember, all through the 90s, my dad literally pacing around the house in his underwear. And we could not watch games. Ninth inning, biting his nails, pacing around the house in his underwear. My mom keeps saying, we're going to win. We're going to win. We always win. We always pull this one out. So that's like a lot of my childhood. Big Yankee fan. We didn't really watch the Knicks. We never went to the city where, Madison Square Garden was. We always went to the Bronx. We always were at Yankee games. So basketball kind of, I guess, fell in the lap probably in, let's say, 7th or 8th grade. We had a basketball hoop, in our, in front of our house, and the only sneaker around was the Jordan sneaker. There really wasn't, there wasn't a Ewing, there wasn't a LeBron, there wasn't a Kobe, there wasn't a Harden, a KD. There wasn't so many sneakers. There was literally one pair of sneakers. So, every kid wanted to be like Mike, and my name's Mike, and, not that great at basketball, but I would lower the hoop. I'd lower the rim till about, 4 feet. And then, I would dunk on a 4-foot hoop. And I'd be wearing Jordans. My first pair of sneakers, as I remember, was a 1993 pair of playoff 8s. And remember also buying my first pair of Space Jams at the mall. I literally called up, I think the store was either Athlete's Foot. I think it was Athlete's Foot. I don't know if you guys had that.
Yeah, I remember Athlete's
out
Foot.
in Cleveland. I literally would call them up and be like, "Hi, do you have a size pair, a size 13 of Space Jams?" They're like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. We'll hold them down for you." And you'd go there and you'd actually physically try them on, and they'd put them on your feet. And, it's a completely different lifestyle. Now, I would never wait online. I have no interest. I don't like standing, one, and I don't want to be in the cold, and I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. and sit on a line with other random people and talk about sneakers. Like, I have zero interest in that. So luckily we didn't have that. We'd walk into a store and buy the sneaker and just walk home with it, and we'd wear them. We wouldn't, sell them. Actually, my first pair of Jordans that I bought were the Space Jams, and I barely wore them. I would play in my intramural basketball team, and I'd lace up the sneakers, before the game, and I'd feel like Michael Jordan. And then the one time that I scored like 16 points in the first half, I fell and broke my ankle. It was a miserable day after that.
Did you get a lot of shit from your friends about being a Bulls fan in New York?
You know what? Wearing Jordan jerseys, in 8th grade, 9th grade, and everybody's wearing, a Knicks, Starks, or Ewing jersey. Yeah, you get a lot of shit. But honestly, I don't remember that much. It's pretty shitty. I went to sleepaway camp like my whole life. And I had a ton of jerseys. We'd go to Marshall's. My parents wouldn't bring me to Champs. We'd go to Marshall's, and I'd buy players that either got traded or like I remember buying a Sean Kemp white champion jersey, and then they didn't have the matching shorts, so I bought the green shorts. So I had like a mismatched pair. I also had a random Arkansas Corliss Williamson
Yeah, I
full
remember
set.
those days.
Don't
Oh
know
yeah.
why, but I had that. I had Jordan. I still have the Jordan champion jersey.
What
Trying to
color?
think what other. It's white.
White. Okay. Yep.
Size 44. And my mom would put my last name. You know, when you're Jewish in the 90s and your parents brought you to sleepaway camp, they would put your last name, you know, in the back of on your socks, on your jerseys, and your shorts, everything. So for me, it's like sentimental now that my last name is in my Jordan jersey. So I don't want to sell it. And that's a big part of this business. There's so much inventory that comes in every day that we're just blown away by. And we're like, I don't want to sell this, you know, like RIP to Kobe Bryant, but I wear these champion jerseys to sleep. They're awesome. This is a gold one. You know, they only made this in
I was
1996.
gonna say that's the
I
old
believe
school
they
one.
only made, yeah, they made like 13 players, I believe, for the All-Star game. And I have like Jordan, I have Patrick, and I have Kobe, but it's like it's so hard to sell these things now. They're great for the beach. They're great for when people work out. I personally don't work out. Um,
So when you going back to that era in the 90s, especially because there were so many, I mean, sports was really kind of, you get Sports Center. It was kind of taking, you know, the forefront of a generation really. But before then there wasn't any 24/7 sports. I mean, it was really the 80s and 90s that kind of brought that to everybody. Now the generation that grows up, it's everywhere. You know, do you have any memories of first kind of like, I mean, did you watch Sports Center a lot back then? And what, you know, what kind of got you into sports as a whole, as far as like, getting immersed in the culture of collecting, you know, jerseys or cards or what have you? You know, what was the turning point for you? Was it just the Jordan or was it something else?
I remember collecting a lot of like Slam magazines when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
And I would buy a ton of starting lineups. I would go to Toys R Us, I would say every week, and buy a 7.99 random player, and I'd put it in my room, and then I would tear up Slam magazines and I would put literally posters and cutouts. My whole room was just decked out in 90s basketball. So I think having, you know, your childhood bedroom kind of encapsulating like your whole life, a little basketball hoop. When I would get in trouble, I would shoot hoops, and I had a Mighty Ducks garbage can with I believe it was a Bulls, like, you know, little hoop. I actually have it in the store right now, but it's a Knicks garbage can with a Lakers hoop. Don't know why. But in the 90s, to be honest, my parents would put me in all different kind of sportswear. I have a picture of me wearing a Notre Dame snapback. I have a Pittsburgh Steeler um, random jersey, and then I'm wearing playoff eights. Like, we just wore kind of whatever our parents kind of put us in. I didn't have money. I didn't go, like I said, we went to Marshall's. We just wore random stuff. And, you know, decking out your childhood bedroom with basketball, you know, posters, and, you know, I remember tickets I would put up. And again, like, I didn't go to a lot of, you know, basketball games. I don't know why I was just got so obsessed with basketball. At one point, I wanted to be an NBA referee.
Really?
Um, and I was in the town league, and I'd ref kids from 13 years old till almost 26 years old. I tried out to be an NBA referee, but they told me that I had really bad posture and like my arm wouldn't stand up straight. So that kind of didn't work out for me. But I don't know, I guess, you know, being around sportswear and decking my whole childhood bedroom out to NBA basketball, like that got my obsession. Um, and then in 1997 or 8, I was at a sleepaway camp. I met this mother from one of my kids, and she was like, "I work for Cablevision. You know, maybe I can get you a job working for the Knicks." And I was like, "Okay," you know. And then we didn't speak for a while. And then fast forward to like 2004, I was randomly in the garden and I met her, and she like hooked me up with a job. I ended up throwing T-shirts at people in 2004 to 5.
Really?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So every night I'd go to, I'd go to a home game, and at halftime we'd go in the, I don't even remember, so long ago. This is like what, 20 years ago almost. Um, I would wear orange and blue. I remember that, and jeans, and all I remember is like Chipotle sponsored the T-shirt throwing contest, and if you caught a T-shirt, you would get a free Chipotle burrito. And I guess I was obsessed with Chipotle burritos, so I took out all the coupons. I put them in my back pocket, and then I threw the T-shirt at people. Um,
I
and then
love
I
it.
no longer had a job. I had like 50 burritos. I remember
Oh
that
man, I
year.
love it.
And then randomly, I'm coming home on the train, and I see this guy from this basketball league that I'm in, and he's like, "Oh, you into the Knicks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Well, I'm a statistician for the Knicks. When I'm away with Mike Breen, would you be interested in doing home games?" And I'm like, "Are you fucking? Can I curse?" I'm like,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I'm like, "But I don't know how to do that." He's like, "Oh, come over, I'll teach you." I'm like, "All right." So like one night randomly, he like brought me to his house. It's kind of weird. Um, and he like taught me. I didn't understand shit. He was like an accountant, so he's really good with numbers. And I'm just like, I'm gonna be a stats guy for the Knicks. Like, I don't, whatever. So ridiculous. So this is the 2004-5 season after I got fired from stealing Chipotle burrito coupons. Um, Trying to think which home. I still have the passes. It was great. So I had wear suit and a tie. I got to eat before the game. All I remember is I was in this like media room with NBA, just like commentators. I believe Stephen A. Smith. I remember him vaguely being in there, and I'm just like eating random food with people and just like feeling all like high and mighty. Like I got this like media pass. I can go on the court. Um, and yeah, I did a game. Basically, I sat courtside, which was bananas, and it's Walt Frazier, and it's like someone doing stats with him, and then me, and then the opponent's stats. And basically, they would ask me, "Oh, do you know how to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got this, no problem, whatever you need." So basically, they would like hit me up. They would kind of say like, "We need specific stats." Like, let's just say, argument's sake, LeBron's playing the Knicks, and like they needed LeBron stats when he's on the court and off the court, and if any they would give you a media booklet before and say like, okay, LeBron, let's say, has a specific milestone coming up. So they would want to know like within that, like once he gets that, I don't know, 1,000th rebound, they want to know right away. So you would write it down on a piece of paper and kind of feed it to them. And they would be like, oh yeah. And then they would just talk about it on the air, which was kind of cool. But I do remember fucking up majorly. Nate Robinson one game had like 14 assists in the first half, and this was just a big accomplishment for him. And I must have said to the guy like, "Oh yeah, he only has like eight assists or something." I don't know. And the guy was like, "This is wrong. The statistician must have got this wrong," and like blew up my spot on air. I felt like a piece of shit. But literally, like I'm 21 years old. I'm getting paid $100 to sit courtside, at the game. I didn't pay attention. Like you're physically on the court with NBA players
At MSG.
as a fan. You're
Yeah.
not like I'm 21. Like how am I supposed to like work? I'm literally watching. Like I remember Alonzo Mourning against the Heat Knicks, and this guy's biceps were like bigger than my whole body. Like the guy was a monster. Like you're that up close and personal with NBA players that you've, I don't know, ripped out and put on your childhood bedroom wall. You have a starting lineup or a poster or a basketball card, and you're in awe. You're like blown away. So I ended up doing like 13 or 14 home Nick games. And then I ended up doing some random New Jersey Nets games at, I believe it was Izod Center at the time, not Continental. And then they like threw me in a truck one time where like, you're going to do, it's called bug stats for a hockey game. And literally you're in a truck with like 50 monitors. It's pretty cool. And you're just literally doing, hockey is like 1 goal, 2 goal. It's slow as shit.
Yep.
So you're literally just like implementing the goals and maybe a penalty shot. But I still have all the media passes. I mean, I would say that's probably one of the greatest times in my entire life.
It had to be.
Just like being there, just like feeling like a god walking on the court because you have this, high and mighty pass. I mean, I would go through a different entrance. I mean, I was like Spike Lee, but now Spike Lee's getting kicked out and they don't know who the fuck Patrick Ewing is. I have like,
yeah, I saw his press conference afterwards and he's like, how do you not, isn't my number in the rafters? Like, how am I?
That's like the most disrespectful probably feeling in the world. Also for Spike.
That'd be like,
you go to these games to see Celebrity Row. And Spike is there at every single game. I mean, you go to see him sometimes, and he goes through the same entrance every time. And now you're saying you cannot go. Like, it's just the guy. First of all, the guy pays for tickets. I mean, those tickets are probably, I don't know. My brother-in-law's season tickets, section 109, they're $180 a pop. He's sitting courtside. They got to be $5,000 a piece.
Oh, I'm sure they're not cheap.
I mean, at 40, I'm assuming Madison Square Garden is probably the most expensive.
It's got to be. I mean, it's the mecca of basketball. That or LA, I would assume, or Staples Center.
Yeah, you're right. LA, It's either LA or
New York. It's got to be.
But it's ridiculous. And I have I think James Dolan hates me for one. Also, I'll call it out here. I don't give a shit. I'll tell people. So like James Dolan, kicking out fans or dealing with this, Spike Lee, Patrick Ewing now, Charles Oakley bullshit. Yep. So I made t-shirts. I make a lot of like t-shirts. I write like fuck Dolan. I made an anti-James Dolan t-shirt.
Is he pretty hated in New York or how,
he is probably the most hated owner. Well, I don't know. Well, the Mets, Wilpons were hated, but I'm a Yank fan, so I don't really have to deal with that shit. But yeah, I mean, so check this out. I go to a Knick game. I'm decked out Patrick Ewing gear. Like I love Patrick Ewing. And I go through security and a security guy stops me and he goes, "You come with me." I'm like, "Oh, did I like win something? Am I shooting a half court shot here?" And he's like, "Are you Michael Spitz?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Do you go by the name Mr. Throwback NYC on Instagram?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Well, we know what you've been talking shit about the Knicks and James Dolan. And if you keep doing what you're doing, we're going to ban you from the stadium." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "Isn't there like freedom of speech here?" So they take the guy like takes my ticket, calls in, and he's like, "He's in section 109, row, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "If you make one outburst or you start screaming, we're throwing you out and we're banning you from the stadium." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, James Dolan, this is like, he's like, what is he worth? A couple $1 billion? And this guy's worried about little old me, Mr. Throwback, talking shit on Instagram about him. Like if he was a great owner, just like, let's say, I don't know, Mark Cuban, who treats his players like gold and fucking goes to games and cheers and is involved. Like if James Dolan did that with the fans, he would be loved in New York. And that's the problem. So like him kicking out Charles Oakley, Spike Lee, now fucking Patrick Ewing. Are you kidding me? And these people like me are paying $180 to sit and watch this horrible fucking team play basketball. Like I'm frustrated. And that's why a lot of Knicks fans are frustrated. And New York fans are very like, we need to win now. Yeah, because we've waited, I don't know, since 1973. We haven't been alive. I'm not alive to watch this horrible fucking team play.
I mean,
and then Carmelo wants to come back and you don't bring him back, or like, we want to go after the KDs, the Kyries, these big name peoples, and then they don't want to come here and you treat people like crap. So that's why I believe no players want to come here. I wouldn't want to play for a guy who treats fans and Nick ex players like shit. Like, come on, like, how do you want to come here? And then the stadium's full, and the stadium sometimes isn't full because it's all corporate people, and no one gives up tickets because the upper deck's like $70. You don't let those tickets go. But I'm frustrated, and I'm only a fan since technically like 2004, which I hope that doesn't blow my cover as a Knicks fan, but it is what it is.
You've been put on blast.
We all were Jordan fans. Obviously you fucking hated Michael Jordan.
We didn't like, because of Cleveland, obviously. And, I was a little kid when that happened, but Michael, I remember I remember that shot when I was 6 years old. I remember it. It just devastated the city. And that was when we had Elway beat the Browns, and then we had the Indians lose Game 7 of the World Series against the Marlins. It was devastation after devastation. But so no, MJ wasn't. I think we respected him. People here, you ask him now, they'll say, yeah, well, of course we respected him and he was fun to watch. But back then I didn't want him to win because I was not, I was from Cleveland. Now I look back and I love that generation. And I love, obviously I celebrate Michael on my page. But yeah, back then it was different. I rooted for you guys against, I rooted for the Knicks against the Bulls back then, or that was back when you were a Bulls fan. But a lot of people, but you also found a lot of people who were Bulls fans, just because of MJ, because he was such a global icon. How could you not celebrate a guy like that? My brother loved the Cavs. That was his favorite team, but the Bulls were his second favorite team because of, Michael. So it was just, I always tell my nephews who didn't get to see him play live, I say he was a very, that was back then. And even now he still has that aura about him that I haven't really seen many athletes have. He just has a very different, when he stepped on the court, it was like you're watching, God almost. He was just an iconic.
I'm sure it's like that. You watch LeBron.
With LeBron, when he first came up in Akron, my brother was a high school coach, and there was a guy up here who ran AAU camps, and he called my brother. LeBron was probably 13 or 14, and my brother calls me. He's like, man, and I was in high school. I was like 16. He's like, there is this kid from Akron named LeBron James. He's going to be the next Michael Jordan. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, okay,
right.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, he comes and he tells me, Brad, I'm telling you, this kid, he was like 14, I think. And he was 8th grade going up against seniors in high school. I can't remember the exact story, but long story short, my brother says the first play of the game, a senior in high school goes up for a layup, and this little skinny 8th grader comes up and just blocks a shot and touches the top of the backboard. And the whole gym goes crazy. And he says, I'm telling you, this kid's legit. Like, I've never seen it. And he was only 6'2", real skinny back then. He wasn't the LeBron now. And you could just tell that he was just a different type of cat. And of course, when he came up, I will say, there was people skeptical, as you guys know. The whole nation was skeptical because he was King James, and you're thinking, really, is this guy going to live up to this kind of hype? Well, I remember, the high school days here, every game was just, it was only 45 minutes, hour away from where I grew up. So everybody was talking about LeBron, his games, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember he played on ESPN his senior year. I think Dick Vitale did the game and some other guys, and they were just like, wow. This dude put on a show. And we drafted him. There's some people who wanted Carmelo over LeBron, and even Darko, if you remember, Darko Milicic was coming up. So there was people who say, oh yeah, I think Darko's going to be the better player.
Yeah, that's like the Sam Bowie over Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So I don't blame the Rockets for taking Olajuwon. Of course, that worked out pretty well for them. But Sam Bowie is a whole different story.
Oh, yeah.
But no disrespect to Sam. He was a serviceable player, but MJ's a global icon.
Because I believe they had Draxler at the time, and Jordan
exactly
and Draxler
right.
had the same position. So
you're exactly right. So that's why they went with Michael, or I'm sorry, Sam. And I think we all could understand that at the time, but looking back, I'm sure they would have made a different choice.
I'm sure of that. It's kind of like that with the Knicks and drafting. Porzingis, we all booed, and he was really fun for a while.
Yeah, he was.
And then that heart. I don't know. The Knicks get beat up.
Well, it's unbelievable to me, Michael, that like when you look at the Knicks organization, because we dealt with it with the Browns here in Cleveland, the laughing stock of your sport, and everyone what. Finally, we're starting to turn it around. Fingers crossed. So we're getting a little bit better of a reputation. So there's definitely hope, but it just seemed forever. 20 years of just losing seasons and disasters, and we're the laughing stock, and one bad signing after another, and then we draft guys who didn't turn out. 20 years of that, and that's what the Knicks have gone through. Pretty much the same thing. It's almost unfathomable. It's like you have to try to make it that bad, because how could you possibly miss on that many people? So, I think I had Ben Lyons on the program a couple months ago, and Ben's a diehard Knicks fan. And he's like, we were both talking about how there's definitely parallels between the Browns and the Knicks. And finally, the Browns again have hopefully turned the corner.
Nice.
It's real nice. Trust me. And Browns fans, if you know anything about Browns fans, they are diehard, like loyal. I mean, we've been through crap, especially losing our team. We got our team.
I'm sure you're like the Bills. You're probably just like the Bills.
Absolutely.
But then again, the Bills at least go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. They've been to 4. I mean, and that's another heartbreaking story. 4 straight Super Bowls without I couldn't get over that if I was a fan.
I'm like, it's funny, that obviously the Jets and the Giants play in New Jersey. And, I'm not sure why they just didn't call them the New Jersey Jets and and then Buffalo is actually still in New York, and it's like the only New York football team. And, being in the store, like Bill stuff sells like crazy.
Does it really?
They are, oh my God. And actually Brown stuff, when we do get it, sells pretty quickly now because obviously they're good now and they're fun to watch. They have a young quarterback, and my boy Odell Beckham, I do miss him.
Yep, OBJ.
And that other guy was Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb and Landry, and they're loaded now. I mean, all of a sudden they went from literally the worst team maybe ever 4 years ago to now a legit contender. So
fun. It's awesome.
It is fun. And
you got to be excited for the Browns. I mean,
we're thrilled here. I mean, really, the town is really pumped about them, and I think it's one of those things where football here, New York, I think it's more basketball. You could tell, obviously the Yankees are huge, but basketball is the sport in New York from everyone I know that lives there. Here it's football. I mean, basketball is big here too, but football is really big here. So, I mean, it's the Midwest and just.
The Browns. So what's going on with Chief Wahoo? What's the deal with him?
So I'm not sure what the new name, they're going to rename the team. We're not sure what yet. I haven't heard anything about that. So I have, a few friends who know people in the organization, but I have not heard any news on that. So we're still kind of a wait and see thing. But cool. When you go back, like, and getting back to the Browns real quick, like when they left in 95, that to this city, that was absolutely devastating. I mean, you had and back then the Browns were good. It wasn't like they were bad. I mean, they were talking like the 60s or the 40s through the 90s. They were one of the better franchises in the NFL. They didn't win a Super Bowl, but they were always around, making the playoffs. And, you had a ton of great players that played for the team back in that era. And then they move away. And then, 5 years later, the Ravens win a Super Bowl. I mean, that was heartbreaking. And to watch Belichick leave and win Super Bowls in New England, and everyone we had, Nick Saban was here. He was a defensive coordinator. He wins in Alabama. So we started seeing all these people leave and win. It was heartbreaking. But, the Cavs, LeBron coming back, that was, I've never seen anything like that either. When he came back, I'll never forget. I was actually in New Hampshire at the time visiting family up at Lake Winnipesaukee. I came back and this town was just going nuts. And it was funny because they went from hating him, like being, it was pretty bad. So all of a sudden,
did you burn any jerseys?
I didn't burn. No, I kept all I have like $110 jerseys. I bought like official stitched ones. And I'm like, I ain't burning those things. No way I'm burning them. But I
was told there was like homeless people rocking like LeBron jerseys.
Those stories aren't far from the truth. I mean, when people burning things, and I had friends who had like fires in their backyards burning LeBron paraphernalia. Really,
I mean, I personally would. The way he did it, I mean, I'm sure he regrets it. It's hard. Listen, most people don't say like I'm taking my talents to South Beach. As a Cleveland fan, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. Yeah, I'd burn his jersey also. Shit, I burned Porzingis' jersey, in New York City, which I probably should not have done. I probably would have got arrested. But, the way he did it, just like he did it on social media, like that was shitty. Like these young, listen, it's social media is crazy today. Like, listen, there's a lot of bullying on there. There's a lot of smack talking on Instagram. God damn. Like,
it could get really bad. Yeah.
Even for me, like it's weird. Like I can't take off my shirt at the beach, but I could take off my shirt in front of 100,000 people on Instagram. I don't really get it, but people are mean. I mean, I'm not like, I understand it. So the fact that like these young athletes are going on social media to say, basically bye-bye, I'm going to the next, place. It's kind of like, fuck you.
I mean, when he did that, Michael, like, and he did kind of say in a sense that he was, sorry. I mean, I think he regrets it. I can't say that for sure, but I'm sure he does. He's a very smart, smart guy and a smart businessman. And I think I'll never forget the night.
Now I don't think I like him anymore because now he's part owner of the Red Sox.
I just saw that. I could not believe that he got. I know. I could not believe the Red Sox.
Like, aren't you from Cleveland? Why wouldn't you want to be an Indian?
So with the night that he left in 2010, my dad called me And I'll never forget as long as I live. My dad's like an old Italian guy, and he's like, he's going to be back. And I'm like, you think so? He's like, I'm telling you, that kid's coming back. And I'll vouch for my dad on air. He said, that kid's coming back. And I kept thinking to myself, like, maybe, then as time went on, I would tell my friends, running joke within my group of friends, because they always said I was crazy. Like, as the next year or two went on, I said, that kid, he is going to come back. Like, I just got this sense from LeBron. Anytime he would come back here, he would say, it'd be fun to play in front of the fans again. And people thought he was just blowing smoke, but I'm thinking, I don't know. I knowing how LeBron is, I thought I can see him coming back here, because he knows if he wins a championship here, that cements his legacy. No matter how many championships he wins, breaking the curse in Cleveland will always be that, So when he did come back, all my friends texted me, oh my God, man, you've been saying this for 2 years. And it wasn't like I was some genius, but I just had that feeling, like, unfinished business. LeBron was still young then. He was only 29.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was 37 or 30,
He needs to come to the Knicks so we can win a championship.
Well, I can't imagine if he was in there, I think he would be the only guy, I think, in the NBA that could go there and actually have a chance to turn it around, because he is so unique and such a talent. And,
I don't know. I don't know. The Nets are gonna.
I can't believe that unbelievable all the guys they've acquired now in the last 6 months.
No, it's like literally
an all-star team. It is. It's an all-star team. It's going to be fun to see if it's Lakers Nets in the finals. That'll be a very interesting series to watch, because I wouldn't count out LeBron, Anthony Davis by any means. They're going to be tough, but
isn't Davis hurt?
Yeah, he is, and I don't know when he's coming back or how that's going to play out. But it's going to be very interesting, and I wish Klay Thompson was healthy, because if you had Klay Thompson, the Golden
is hurt too.
If you had Klay Thompson,
they're done. They're not.
I think if you had Klay back, you would have it'd be interesting, because they still have the big three. They're not what they were. There's no doubt about it, because they lost Iggy and Livingston, those guys. But still, But yeah, getting back to the whole LeBron thing, it was just incredible, Michael. And to have him come back and win that championship here. I'll never forget that night as long as I live. It was Father's Day, and it was just an unbelievable experience.
I wouldn't.
And
I would buy a LeBron jersey if he comes to the Knicks. He's our savior.
He really is a transcendent talent, and he's just a different type of guy. And it's funny now when he comes back, obviously people are fine with him, and it's home now, and it always will be. But it's funny to see how it was years ago, and how for those 4 years it was bad. And now everyone's like, you talk to most people in Cleveland, there'll always be people who still get mad about certain things, but most fans, Michael, said, yeah, we have no problem with the kid. He came back, he did what he said, came back and won a championship. How could you fault the guy? He did everything he said, and he's a class act, and it's like, it is what it is. He made a mistake younger as far as
I would forget. I would be like, no worries, LeBron. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. And he made a mistake as far as how he did it, how he went about the first time. But I don't blame him for going down there, wanting to play with his friends and winning. I get it. Miami, I totally get it. So again, that's kind of funny how that's all smoothed over now.
Warm there. It's nice.
Hey, it's beautiful down there. I totally.
The bars are fun down there too.
Yep. It's not like the cold winters up in, New York or Cleveland or Boston. So I get it. But
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. How many championships did he win in Miami?
So he won 2 in Miami, 1 in Cleveland, and then of course 1 in LA. So he's really the only player in NBA history to lead 3 different franchises to a championship, which is incredible. I think
that, obviously the Michael Jordan LeBron debate debating, obviously you could debate a million times. You're never going to change someone's opinion on that. But I do believe that the 3 championships with 3 different teams, could be that kind of, statement that says this guy is the greatest of all time. But obviously it's hard to do that when you're a child and you're watching Michael Jordan just, take care of teams and move, and there's no social media. It's a different ballpark.
Mike, I completely agree with you. And I think, it's funny because running the page that I do and having this podcast, being in the 90s guy, and then of course being from Cleveland, I have a kind of interesting perspective with Jordan and LeBron. And I always say, if people ask me who's the better one, I don't get into all that. He's better, this guy's better. Look, they were both the greatest of their generation. Sure. If you want to debate who's better all time, we can go do that till we're blue in the face. But the point, the fact of the matter is I would take either one to start a franchise with, and I think you'd be just fine. When it comes to certain things, would I take Jordan over LeBron? Yes. When it comes to certain things, would I take LeBron over Jordan? Yes. It just depends on what you're talking about. I don't get into the whole, this guy's that much better than that guy. They're both amazing at what they did,
I guess if LeBron can play football and Michael Jordan could play football, then, we could see how.
Then we can see what's exactly.
Yeah, like that. And I'll talk golf. You go with Jordan, LeBron.
Exactly. And Jordan, I think with the killer instinct, I've never seen anybody with a killer instinct quite like Jordan. He was just the look, the way he would get that look and the way he would, game 6 against the Jazz when he hit that shot and still stole the ball from Malone. It's just so iconic. And he was just a different kind of cat. And I've never seen anybody in sports with that kind of killer instinct. He just had,
I agree.
And LeBron's more of like a physical specimen and just like an unbelievable physical specimen. Like I've never seen, and he's so smart, so they're different in ways, they don't have the same exact qualities, but yet they both have incredible attribute, or, they both have an aura about them that to me has never been, I've never seen before. So
I agree.
I have no problem saying they're the two greatest to ever do it. I think at least if they're not the two greatest, I don't know who are that I've seen.
Yeah, we didn't get to see, the Birds, the Magics, the Kareems,
Will Chamberlain. Yep.
All those guys. We didn't get to see any of those, so Dr. J, like there's so many names, there's so much of that.
And with all respect to those guys, Mike,
we can't even.
I can't comment on those guys. You said,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so there's, and he would comment, he would be like, I've never played well again, better against Magic or Isaiah. They fucking hated Isaiah, which is,
I know they,
the Last Dance really helped, obviously, all of us kind of reconnect again and feel that those amazing moments of when you're a child and you watch this and now you're watching it again and you're seeing the behind the scenes. And I really do love that about sports, that now there's so much behind the scenes. There's miking up players and on the field commentary, and obviously social media, you get to see a lot more of that. But our youth, it's hard to just kind of take that away from us and what we had as a kid. Me going to Marshall's and finding a Jordan authentic pinstripe jersey and hanging up on my wall, and my mom saying, return that now, because it was $49.99 and we couldn't afford that, and I did that. And now every time I get a Jordan authentic, I call her and say, guess what I got again? She's like, Michael Jordan authentic. I'm like, yep. So that's like, you can't take that away from us. But, now watching it on a 65-inch TV, and, it's better being on your couch than at the game, sometimes. And,
right. I always say that all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different world now. So it's hard to compare, all these players and coaches and games, to our childhood. That's what's so great about like my business, like every day I legitimate feel like I'm in my childhood bedroom, and, people are walking in, they're like, oh my God, like this place is like a time machine, a nostalgic childhood bedroom, like a man cave all in one, and everything's original from the 90s. And I could buy this now with my own money. So people get that feeling of walking in the shop. And that's why I still wear these jerseys and I still collect them, and I still want a game worn versus a pro cut or a team issued. And there's so much, I can't even. And the trading cards, how many trading cards I've used as price tags in the 9 years I've been open.
How many?
And now, unfortunately, Kobe passing and all these cards going for like ridiculous amount of money and not getting them graded and giving them away for free and shit like that. It's just like, whoa, but that's a big part of this business. Like, getting into all these other things. Cards is huge. This NBA Top Shot thing that like is like too mind-blowing for me. I don't really understand it. I don't understand Bitcoin. I don't get it. I just want cash in my pocket, and I know I can buy something. Like, I don't understand it. And people are like, oh, you should get into it now. I'm like, I'm not buying like a freaking thing on my phone for like 30 grand, And a lot of the kids are like, I can go on YouTube, but it's like you're holding it. You're a one of nine. I don't give a shit. Like for me, I don't grasp it. I'm not into stocks. I'm not into that. I like tangible goods. I like to have it on me. I want to wear it. I don't want to frame it. If I bought and found a Michael Jordan game worn jersey, I'm wearing that shit. Like, I'm not framing it. Like, like I don't care. Well, yeah, there's a lot with this business. I mean, there's so much addictions. Hats, snapback hats were so big in 2012. I was buying hats for $300. Now I'm selling hats for $1,000 each. Like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Like, would you buy $1,000 hat? Probably not. But if you wanted it so bad, like for you, if like, obviously the championship LeBron. You buy that hat because like you've never had that as a kid. You know, like I bought the Jordan 96 championship t-shirt and hat. And, you know, obviously Yankees are through the roof. But yeah, all this memorabilia is just so popular today. It's crazy. But for me to like start getting into cards again, it's just another interest in getting into, because all that's just like legal gambling and going to these events and just opening packs and spending. I was in Chicago at a national sports convention, and they have tables on tables on tables of sports cards in these mystery boxes. And then they have one for like 10 grand, but you can get this special one with a freaking gold thing and a signed thing. And then people paying 10 grand to open a mystery box and probably get crap, and maybe they get one card. It's like too much for me. So like I'm sticking with jerseys, and I'm kind of just, that's it. Like I want a jersey that a player wore and I can actually wear it. I want to feel that sweat and grossness of going like this. Like there's an epic photo of like Karl Malone getting his jersey like tore off, you know, and it was like holding and champion. Like this is what we grew up on. So that's really where my passion is. It's just, you know, being around this apparel. You know, being a new dad, this is terrible to say this. I haven't watched one basketball game. Like literally, I do go to bed at 8:00. Like I don't want, the only basketball game I've watched was the NBA All-Star game. That is it. And my boy Obi Toppin, I don't know, could have done a better dunk. And that guy didn't kiss the rim. I don't know. He didn't kiss the rim. But yeah, being a new dad it's been honestly the greatest thing in my entire life. And you know, I don't even watch TV. I don't, it's hard. Like people walk in there like, how about the Knicks? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I saw it on ESPN. Like, I don't know. I literally go to bed at 9:00. I watch Disney Plus. I'm watching Moana. I'm watching Aladdin. Like,
I love it.
It's wild. Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad 4 days a week, and then I go in the store Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
well,
you know, I moved home with my in-laws, loving every day. My mother-in-law is here, and yeah, we're saving dough and trying to buy a house. Like there's completely different goals when you have a kid. Do you have a kid? Do you have kids?
I don't. Nope. I have 5 nephews, so I love them to death. I mean, I'm
it's
always
different
around.
Though. Like you,
it's
give
definitely
them
different.
Back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
I can go over there, rile them up, and then leave, and then
yeah, like you're done, uncle. But yeah, it's bananas. This kid's walking back and forth on his cart. Like it's wild. But me going to work 3 days a week, I'm in my man cave. I'm doing my thing, selling jerseys, you know, trading and stuff like that. And that's like my, you know, enjoyment now. You know, it's completely different. But I can't, you know, and I'm buying kids' jerseys. Hold on, let me show you these jerseys.
Okay.
So I have like this, you know, the little Tykes basketball hoop in the corner here.
I love those things.
You know, it's
oh my God, I had so many of those as a kid. Loved them.
You know, and I'm decking.
I think I had the Fisher Price one. Nash.
Like little Tykes, like a little Nash jersey. It's so cute. You know, like what do I have?
Did I see Iverson there somewhere?
Yeah, here's a little
Iverson.
Little Iverson. Look at that. Tags. I didn't even take off the tags. I was like, if he grows out of it, I'll resell it, you know? And then I bought him a Garnett. It's a little big. But
old school KG. Yep.
Yeah, they're cute. I mean, if this champion jersey was a toddler one, they go for like $150. It's bananas.
Wow.
And, you know, so like for me, I'll probably eventually buy him the toddler one because they're so cute. I bought a Sean Kemp one. I paid, I think it was like $75. I'm like, shit, like that's a lot of money for a kid's champion toddler. Actually, an Iverson red rookie sold for $400 on eBay.
Really?
Crazy. People are collecting these stuff, you know? So like, I like wearable things. The card stuff, it's hard, you know, it's hard to display. You know,
well, how many
times do you want?
One of the questions I wanted to ask you, because so when I was younger, like I collected jerseys, which is why I love your store. Like my cousin Beth, I got to give her a shout out. She lives in New York and you know, NYC, and she got me into your store. She goes, you need to check this out. It's awesome, and I think you would really love it with the page you run. So I did, and that's when I connected with you. And I didn't realize how cool I mean, I was like in heaven going through all your pictures and looking at everything. So I was known as like the jersey guy when I was like 10, 12 years old, because my parents would get me 2 or 3 jerseys whether it's birthdays, Christmas, whatever, NBA jerseys. And then they started giving me, NFL jerseys, MLB, et cetera. So I have close to 100 jerseys overall from my childhood. So you would love if you saw some of them. They're pretty cool. I never gotten rid of them. I never will. And so when I saw your store, dude, it was like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is my heaven. Like exactly so how did you, when you first started it, was the idea always there, or was it something that came about from someone mentioning something to you, or how did you come up with the idea of, Mr. Throwback NYC?
So, okay. So I went to Towson University in Maryland for sport management. I always wanted to be, like I said, I wanted to be an NBA referee, but that kind of like failed. Then I wanted to be a physical education teacher because I was like sports and kids, blah, blah, blah. But it's all sciences. I had no idea. I'm like, my gym teacher in kindergarten, that motherfucker was fat, eating peanuts. Like he didn't do anything. I'm like, I could do that. I'm fat. I could totally do that. So I wanted to do that. But then I found out it's all sciences. I'm like, what? So if like you hurt your leg when you're playing dodgeball, I guess you have to do something. So that went out the door, and I was like, all right, sport managing, maybe I could work for a team. I don't know. So I went to Towson, got my bachelor's degree. I have to say that because I think it's great. And then I came home to my childhood bedroom, decked out in, again, 90s basketball. And I opened my, we call it armoire, not dresser, armoire. It's like two in the drawer.
I know exactly what it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I pull out the Sean Kemp white champion jersey that I got at Marshall's, and I try it on. I'm like, this shit fits. I was like, this is so dope. Like, I had this in 1996 or 7, and then I'm trying it on, and I'm 21, 2 years old, and it still fits me. Like, what the hell? So I'm like, where can I get more of these things? And then I was on, I don't know, I was watching TV, and I think an eBay commercial came up. I'm like, what is eBay? So I like went on eBay, I got it, and I like dialed in. I'm like, champion jerseys. And then like a million came up, and I was like blown the fuck away. No joke. I was like, holy shit. So I decided to buy on one account, and then I pretty much bought, I don't know, 150 champion jerseys. That's all I wanted because that's what I grew up on. I didn't have anything else. Or like Apex. The Corliss Williamson jersey was an Apex. Actually, I had a Felipe Lopez Apex jersey.
I love Felipe. Yep, St. John's.
Felipe, I love. I'll tell you the story about Felipe too, which is cool. But yeah, so I collected a bunch, and then I was like, all right, I have so many of them. What am I going to do? So what I did was I bought on one account, and then I sold on another account. So I'd buy champion, and then I throw it on that. And then I would say fast forward 2000, I don't know, 8 or 9, I happened to be in Brooklyn, and I found a flea market. And I've never seen a flea market in my entire life. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, people set up clothes and they sell them, and you can look at them and you can negotiate. What is this? So I found a booth actually who had some sports stuff, and I was just like flipping through, and he ended up having a pair of 94 Air Jordan 1s for like $50. I'm like, I'm grabbing these, boom. And I started talking to them, and I'm like, I have a bunch of jerseys. Like, is it possible if I could sell with you guys? They're like, yeah, why don't you come back on the next day? I was like, okay. So I drove up to Brooklyn. I set up with these guys. And so, yeah, I was like, whoa. I like was blown away. So I sold one jersey, and I'm like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to sell jerseys at a flea market for the rest of my life. So that day I was talking to them. I was like, guys, this is awesome. I want to do this again with you. They're like, nah, like, we don't really need you. Like, it's just me and him and we're slinging stuff. I was like, all right, basically, fuck you guys. I'm going to do this myself. So I found a flea market in Manhattan where I was living. Um, and I was like, how do I do this? How do I set up? Like, do I have to get paperwork? They were like, you need a sales tax license. I was like, okay. So I applied for a sales tax license. I got it. And then basically this flea market was year round. I opened the first time in January in the freezing cold in New York City. I set up and I sold champion jerseys. I sold starter jackets. I sold snapback hats. I sold vintage sports tees and sneakers and just like random starting lineups for my childhood bedroom. And that's it. And then from January to May, I did it every weekend and I fell in love with it. And I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then I was like, maybe there's more to the flea market. Maybe there's something else I could do, like a store. I don't know. I can't afford a store. So I ended up in Brooklyn, right near the Barclays Center. There was this that's 20, year-round flea market. So instead of on the weekends, it was Monday through Sunday. So basically, they had these old shipping containers that they cut in half and they made them into like 80 square foot stores. So for $500 for the month, I did that from May to October. And then unfortunately, someone bought the land and kicked all of us out. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like, I only have like $6,000 to my name. Where am I going to go? So randomly, I was walking in the East Village where my store is currently now, and I stumbled upon this small store that was vacant, and it was literally move-in ready. It had racks, it had shelving, it was ready to go. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. How do I get this store? So I'm just staring at it literally. I'm in awe. I'm like blown away. I'm just like this. And this lady walks out of the apartment building, because that's what New York City is. It's all these brownstones with like two stores and then the door for the building. And this lady walks out and she's like, hey, you interested in the store? I'm like, yeah, but like I can't have a store. Like I literally was selling at a flea market and I only have $6,000 to my name. She's like, well, what do you do? I'm like, well, I sell like vintage sportswear from the 90s. It's all jerseys. And I'm like, I can literally hang shit up and I can start selling tomorrow. And she goes, yeah, call me tomorrow. The store is yours. And I'm like, what? She's like, loved your story. We had a men's vintage clothing store here. The guy just ran up and left, and we've been looking for someone just like you to literally just set up and go, and that's it. I'm like, okay, but I only have $6,000. Like, how am I going to afford this store? She's like, give me $5,700 up front, and at $2,500 a month, sign a 3-year lease. I'm like, okay. So I literally signed the lease. I gave her $5,700. I found a guy on Craigslist for $250. He painted the whole store. And then I had, no joke, this is real deal. I had $50 to my name, and I had like a bunch of jerseys and some other miscellaneous stuff from the flea market that I had. And then I called the guys that I met at the Brooklyn Flea. Yeah, so basically I consigned the guys from the Brooklyn Flea where I basically started, because I built up money and then I never looked back. I've been on the block for almost 9 years. I didn't want to stay. I moved across the street because I needed a bigger store. We grew. And I never looked back. And I love it every freaking day. I eat, sleep, and breathe vintage sportswear. And I really owe it to the lady, Mary, who owned the building. She was the owner of the building. I just thought she like lived there. I didn't know. I told her my story and she believed in me. And she was just basically handed me the store when I had no money. I ended up staying in her store for 5 years. And then It was easy. It was $2,500 a month. I didn't have to I gave him $5,700 up front. I didn't have to renovate the store. I did nothing. And then when I moved across the street, they were like, well, you need to renovate. We also want $50,000 up front just for security deposit. And the rent will be $6,000 a month. I said, oh shit, fuck it. I'm doing this. I know this is going to work. And I've been there almost 4 years. And every year it goes up more money. So I'm paying more money. And now I have employees and I'm paying payroll and insurance. And oh my God. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it. I love it.
What an unbelievable story, really.
And that's my story. It literally was like pretty organic. It started at a flea market, went to a pop-up shop basically, and then I had a store. It's like crazy.
I mean,
to be honest, I was like the only one doing vintage sportswear. And now, because of Instagram, it's everywhere. And there's so much competition. And there's, people are doing podcasts and people doing live like auctions on their Instagram. Like I started to do it too because, it promotes the store. It's a pandemic. No one's leaving their house. Business is not bad. I'll be honest. It's been getting better. We closed for 4 months, which sucked. Luckily, the landlord hooked me up with like lesser rent. And then I would just sell online. And I actually, on my website, you can make an offer. It's kind of like eBay where I have a jersey for $100. You can make me an offer and I'd counter and we'd negotiate. So I had to kind of drop prices and negotiate with people just like I was at the flea market again, because I need to pay rent. I got to pay employees. Now I have a kid. Like there's different priorities now, but to be honest, people are coming out now. I got vaccinated, which is great. And I hope everybody else gets vaccinated, but we did lose a lot of tourism. No joke, Mondays was Australia Day. Tuesdays was Europe. Wednesday was like Sweden, Finland, Switzerland Day. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday was like New Yorkers. But I lost all of that. I lost so much tourism. And this stuff, again, is still so nostalgic. People want something different. I don't want to go to a game and sit next to the kid that's wearing the same jersey as me. I want to wear something that I grew up with as my childhood. I couldn't afford it then, and now I can. And I want to wear a throwback jersey. I don't want to wear a current player. Plus, these jerseys don't fit fat people. They make jerseys for like skinny athletic guys. I'm not a skinny athletic guy. Jerseys don't fit like they used to. The quality is not the same.
I was going to ask you about that.
I like stuff.
The quality compared back in the 90s example to now. So there is a difference, and describe the differences.
So I haven't felt a New Jersey in a long time, but I know it's more like that dry fit material, and the sizing is different. I know that, like in, let's say, Champion. So in Champion Replica, which is this vinyl screen printed jersey, it went from 36 to 40 to 44 to 48 to 52. And then they went up to a 56 in the authentic. But I know current jerseys, I believe like a 44, which is a large, is now a medium. So for me, I'm in a 52 Champion jersey, 2X. I need to go to like a 60, which is crazy. But yeah, the quality, obviously, I was talking about that picture of Carmelo. We can find it on the internet. It's bananas. His jersey's being ripped, pulled down, and it's still intact. I remember watching games and numbers are falling off of jerseys and they're getting ripped in the back. Like that's just unfortunate. But the jerseys were very heavy. That heavy nylon, that heavy polyester mesh. Now it's like a dry fit material for people who work out. So I'm not buying the current jerseys. Maybe I'd buy it for my kid, but I'm not going to buy like a Obi Toppin jersey because I don't know, probably off the team and like next week these guys get traded so quickly. I don't know.
What are
But there are a ton. What's that?
no, go on.
Oh, the most like Porzingis jerseys are dumped everywhere. I see them everywhere. And for some reason, they must have made 4 billion Mark Sanchez Jets jerseys.
Good old
I
Mark
was
Sanchez.
at one flea market. I don't know why, but literally, I was at one flea market and one guy had 38 Mark Sanchez jerseys.
Really?
I'm like, dude, who's buying this shit? I'll give you like $1.
Well, I was going to ask
I was
you,
like, why do you have so many?
what are like the 3 or 4 best-selling jerseys? I mean, okay, beyond Jordan. We know Jordan's a good seller, but beyond MJ and Kobe and LeBron and some of the obvious ones, give me 3 or 4 people maybe aren't as obvious that are great sellers.
Oh, well, Iverson's very popular still. Okay. Hold on. So you said Jordan. Vince Carter is very popular.
Ah, yeah. Yep. That'd be a great one.
VC.
Yep.
So the thing is here I'll like school you in on like the whole licensing. It's crazy. So Champion had the license. Champion made the replica Vince Carter jersey, but Vince Carter only played in Nike in 1998-99 when he was drafted. So they make a ton of like the bootleg Nikes that I see everywhere. Most people don't. The problem is there's a lot of fake jerseys. And I'm just, as a kid, we want to wear authentic stuff. And it's weird. Like you'll see at sneaker cons, people wearing fake jerseys with $1,000 sneakers, But if it was reverse, if you were wearing a fake sneaker, you're getting called out. You're getting yelled at. Like people are like, yo, what are those? You're wearing a fake sneaker, but they don't care about the jersey, which is unfortunate. Like, I don't want to wear a fake jersey. You see, I could point out, I go to games all the time, like fake, fake, fake. Look at that crap, fake. Alibaba, $20. Some people don't care. But like me personally, I won't wear a fake jersey. And most people won't wear fake sneakers. So I don't understand the difference. I guess people are like, whatever, $20 for a jersey. I'll wear it once. I'll spill some beer on it. I don't care. But like, I want to like stunt at games. I want to look cool. I want to look like better than this kid next to me. I don't want to look like that guy. So definitely Iverson, definitely Vince Carter, Jordan, obviously his price went up, unfortunately. Trying to think who other players, a Ewing, a Starks. I like the obscure players. I love like a George Murasan.
Yep.
Or like a Sean Bradley.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Very upsetting about Sean Bradley,
yep.
Paralyzed, horrible.
That was terrible.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. I'm trying to think what other, like a T-Mac is popular.
Mm-hmm. Now T-Mac Toronto or T-Mac Orlando?
Yeah, a lot of like. I would say first. See, like I personally think the Dino Raptor jersey is amazing. Like I would rather have that one, but a lot of people love the T-Mac Orlando Magic one.
Okay.
And some Rockets ones too. A lot of people like Barkley because of that sunburst jersey. The Hawks wraparound jersey, which is phenomenal. But the problem is like the champion jersey to, let's say, a swingman or an authentic, like on the replica Hawk jerseys, the Hawk didn't wrap around the jersey. And then the Skyline, Nuggets jersey with the rainbow. Champion, unfortunately, didn't make the rainbow. I don't know why. They just made like a generic blue with the Mutombo 55 on it. Just says Nuggets. Like it's not that great, but then you can get the Swingman, but it's then like the Marcus Camby, the Juwan Howard. That's where you have to get the authentic. The authentic Mutombo champion jersey is $500-$600.
Wow.
That's the problem with a lot of this stuff. And I'm not gonna talk shit about it, but like Mitchell and Ness kind of, I didn't grow up on Mitchell and Ness, so I didn't understand it. I didn't wear it. I wore Champion, so I don't sell it in my store. I was like, well, they have a store. You can go there and buy their stuff. So what they do is they have the licensing, which is awesome. And then they'll put like a patch, a finals patch, or they'll put that like black strip on a jersey, and people come in and be like, oh, do you have the Michael Jordan 97 finals jersey? And I'm like, no, I have like the Champion, like original one, but I don't have the patch. So they like kind of put stuff on it, and it kind of hurts, let's say, the original Champion jersey, because that finals patch never was on the Champion jersey. So, there's a lot of that. And then, sizes, that gets difficult. And then people want the Vince Carter jersey. They always want the Vince Carter, Raptor one, which is a Champion one. I sold one the other day for $350, and that's a replica. Most people won't pay that.
Unbelievable.
That's the thing. It's like this stuff is getting harder and harder to get, and the prices are going up. Some people won't pay that on a replica jersey, but you and I, who grew up on this stuff, who want something different than the next guy, is like, you know what? I'm going to buy that. I know the quality. I saw it at Champ Sports or Sports Authority or wherever you guys went to, Dick, all these sporting goods stores, and I saw it, but I couldn't buy it. I want that. Like, I'll pay that. I'll buy that because that's what I grew up on, and like this jersey, Kobe, they only made 13 players of. It's like a $300-400 jersey, but would people pay that for a replica? Probably not. But like I said, there's the collector. There's like the guy that just wants to match his sneakers. There's, the guy who's just like, yo, I'm going to Miami. I'm going to wear a dope jersey. But then there's like the people who are like, I collect Champion jerseys. I want the original stuff. I don't care the price. I want it in good condition. And like every year they just keep getting better and better. Probably the most common one is a Grant Hill Pistons jersey.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
He's around.
Which
or like
design?
Glenn Robinson Bucks.
The later design with Grant Hill.
Oh, Ray Allen.
Oh, Ray Allen. Oh yeah.
What's that?
Now, which Pistons design?
Ray Allen, the big buck. Everybody likes the big.
Okay.
So it's just on the Champion, it's just the replica blue. That's like the most common. Okay. But the teal one with the horse, and then there's a maroon one, which is sick. So they made that one. Trying to think what other, popular. Rodman on the Lakers, Rodman on the Mavericks.
Yep.
Rodman on the Bulls, Rodman on the Spurs, Rodman on the Lakers. Those are all, popular jerseys. Shorts are really popular, but they don't have pockets. So people are like, I want ones with pockets. I'm like, NBA shorts don't have pockets, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Go to the cleaners, put them in yourself. But there's like that, it's hard. Like hockey jerseys are dope, but like how many people wear them? Because the arm like hangs down, like you're chubby and you're like most people didn't wear this stuff, as kids, and they were performance based, like a hockey jersey. Now you have to tailor the arm. I don't know.
Do you have
there's what's that?
Do you have a lot of celebrities come in there? Anybody that any other athletes that come in there to try to get stuff?
So we used to get a lot of people. I don't know, for some reason it's slowed down. The last, I guess, NBA celeb was Jeremy Lin.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? PJ Tucker bought a Texas Longhorns starter jacket, because he went there.
Yep.
So he'll hit me up randomly, which is cool, but hasn't been in the store. We used to get a lot. We had, let's see, Fabulous Kid Cudi was number one who walked in.
Really? Wow.
Fabulous was big. Jared Jack, I became very friendly with. Andre Drummond, Stanley Johnson, Thomas Robinson, Chris Douglas Roberts. Trying to think. We used to get a ton. Like, not a lot of Knick players came in, which sucks. Trying to think. But yeah, Jeremy Lin came in, asked for a Jordan USA champion jersey.
Really? That's awesome.
I was like, yo, let me get your number. I'll hit you up when I get one. Yeah, so I have Jeremy Lin's number.
No, that's really cool. I knew there had to be people that,
Yeah, we used to get a lot. For some reason now we haven't had any, unfortunately. So hopefully they'll come back. They'll come back in. I don't know. Obviously players aren't walking in with jerseys. They're wearing the Kobe's, but they're getting them for free. They have stylists. They're wearing all these high-end brands. So, we don't carry that. So, they gotta, now they have league fits, so they're taking pictures, like back in the day, Jordan's wearing a suit and a tie. Tim Duncan's wearing freaking giant suits. Like it's completely different. So, their styles has changed a lot. Um, but but luckily, still people want starter jackets and champion NBA jerseys. So
The old school
as long as
starter
they keep
jackets,
wanting that,
tho-
they're
tho-
so good.
oh,
I
they're
love
amazing. They're amazing. I used to have a
everybody.
Miami Dolphins one, and then Hornets, and they're just classic. I mean, how could you not? It was me and
Oh
my
yeah,
buddy
the
still talk about those
colorways are
things all the
great.
time.
Like my
Oh yeah,
sister, yeah, you. Oh yeah, my sister had a Lakers one. I had a Notre Dame one. Why? I don't know.
yeah.
That's what my parents bought me. You know,
Okay,
I don't
so
know. I had Mighty Duck shit is so popular.
yeah, Mighty Ducks. There you go. There's another one that was very popular back then. Yep.
Oh yeah, still.
Okay, so I
But
have a
yeah,
couple.
it's
I have a
yeah.
couple more questions for you. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you have get to bed early typically, but I appreciate you being on the show. This has been awesome. I could talk about this stuff all day long. Trust
No,
me.
not at all. No, I appreciate. No
So,
worries. No worries.
what has been your biggest challenge as an owner of a vintage store like this?
I think now, I think now with the popularity of vintage that's grown through social media, and that a lot of people are doing it now. Um, I have to like separate myself a little bit because it's not a hobby for me. It's not a side project. This is life for me. This is every single day. This is my career. This is my passion. This is my baby. So there's a lot of people who are getting into it, and I'm trying to work with. I did a collab with Starter. I did a collab with Chalkline and Slam Magazine, and I'm trying to like build up the Mr. Throwback, brand now. So I need to separate myself from like every kid thrifter. Like I have to go be above and beyond. Like, customer service is number one. But like, I think the challenge is just kind of evolving with the times now. Now I'm getting into like the newer jerseys, I have to evolve. I can't just keep buying Tom Gugliotta jerseys, kids that are coming in there like, who the fuck is this guy? So I have to kind of keep updating. I was very what's the word? I was very stubborn. I was very stubborn. I only sold champion jersey. Now I'm doing Reebok and Adidas and Nike Swingman. And I'm sure eventually I'll have to sell Mitchell and S jerseys because things are evolving. And that's, I think the challenge is just hopefully finding more product, building relationships with people, and just welcoming in people. I mean, and hopefully COVID ends and we get back to not wearing masks and we're selling. We're selling. I mean, it's some days are really good, some days are really bad, but we just got to keep hustling. That's it. Just keep hustling and taking care of the people who walk in your door.
Mhm. I love that. And my last question for you, and I ask this to every guest I've had on the show, and I've had on, NBA players, I've had on, journalists and all types of people, MLB players. When you look back at, your career and you look back at Mr. Throwback NYC, what do you want your legacy to be?
Ooh. Um, well, I always talk about customer service. I really do believe that if you have a good experience, you're going to tell the world. But if you have a bad experience, you're going to tell the world. And I just want people to come into my store and say, Michael Spitz treated me like gold, and I want to tell the world. And that I truly believe has kept me in business this whole time. The fact that I was there from day one and I'm still there. I always say to everybody who walks through the door, I say, if if you have a good experience here or anywhere, you're going to tell the world. But if you have a bad experience, you're going to tell the world. So I'd much rather you tell everybody in the world that you had a great experience at Mr. Throwback and that Mike took care of you. And I truly believe that if you do take care of people, they will keep coming back. And I believe that that's why I've been in business and so successful for almost 9+ years in New York City. And, I just want to be treated exactly how I would treat anybody else or they would treat me in their store. It's literally my store is my home. Like I'm there. I was there for 2 years straight. I did not take off a day. I put blood, sweat, and tears in that thing, and I love it. And people still come back from 2012 and say, I only want to work with Mike. He took care of me, and I'm only dealing with him. So, it's hard to tell that to your employees, but if you have a rapport with someone and you take good care of them, they want to come back. And I do believe that you will keep coming back if you have a great experience. It doesn't matter the price, it doesn't matter, but if you have a good experience and you get taken care of, you will go back. And I'm sure if you walk into Prada or Balenciaga, they should treat you like gold because you are buying thousands of dollars. Even if you buy a basketball card from me, you're going to get treated like gold. I don't care. And that's what I believe in.
That is a great answer, and that's what it's all about. I mean, treating people the right way, customer service, especially being a business in New York City, you have to have a certain level of customer service to get by, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, I can't wait to go visit your store someday when COVID dies down and I'm vaccinated. I'm going to get out there. I'm definitely going to come visit you and buy some jerseys. So, again, I appreciate you having on the show tonight, taking the time to be with us, and I'm.
Anytime.
Again, it's so cool. I go on your page all the time and check out all your posts. It's awesome, man. I mean, I'm a big fan.
What do you want? What can we find you? What's your holy grail?
Oh man, definitely old Cavs jerseys like Price, Doherty. Some of the old Mark Price jerseys.
Yeah.
And all types. I had to think about that because I would have a list of like 30 things, literally. So I would have to think about something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that. But I mean, definitely old Cleveland gear is a huge, just because being here and growing up with that. But and I think an old maybe some old Olajuwon jerseys, things like that. The old Sonics jersey, which I loved. Both designs of the Sonics jersey, which is awesome. So there's so many from that era that I could go back on. But
there are. So actually, Slam magazine did a retro 1996 draft class magazine, and they asked me to put in my top 10 all-time favorite 1996 jerseys. And if you see the magazine, you'll see my top 10 of jerseys. But for some reason, my favorite jersey of all time is the New Jersey Nets tie-dye jersey.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, the Drazen Petrovic, Derek Cole. I had Kenny Anderson on this program, actually. So I'm going to have to tell him that.
We were talking about Sam Bowie. I have Sam Bowie's game-used jersey.
No way. Really?
Wild.
31? Wild. Yep.
31. I don't know why, but that jersey, for some reason, is my favorite of all time. I don't know what it does. Oh, so check this out. So I found the jersey let's say 7 or 8 years ago, and I've always wanted the shorts. And I'm like, I need the complete set. So I looked for 8 years. I couldn't find it anywhere. And someone found it in a Goodwill bin. So someone dumped these shorts, and someone digged and found them for 99 cents. And they put them on some website, and I bought them for $300. And then I'm going to call this guy out now. I don't care. But I won't say his name. So I bought the shorts. He hit me up. He's like, dude, thank you so much. So many people were hitting me up about these. I'll ship them out tomorrow morning. And then the next morning I get refunded. And I go, what the fuck? I bug out. I'm like, these are my holy grail shorts. I've been looking these for 8 years. He says he's going to send them to me the next morning, and now I get refunded. So I find him on Facebook, and I found his cell phone number, and I called him up. And I'm shaking. I've never done this before in my entire life. I'm like, listen, dude, I bought these shorts fair and square, $300. I didn't make an offer. I just bought them. You told me you were going to ship them to me. And now I get a refund. He's like, I'm so sorry. A million people hit me up. He probably got a better offer. And I bugged out. And I go, listen, man, I've never threatened anybody in my entire life. And I'm pretty big in this business. I don't want to shut you down, but if you do not send me these shorts, I'm going to go ballistic. So he's like, let me call you back later. We'll figure it out. I'm like, you better call me back, man. Like, I'm bugging out. I'm sweating. I'm like, this is it. These are the shorts. I've waited so long. So we finally talk. And he's like, all right, man, I'll sell you the shorts. I know you're really into them. I know these are your grail shorts, but you need to send me more money and like a jersey. I'm like, bro, I'm not sending you shit, man. Like, I bought the shorts fair and square. I didn't do anything. Like, this is called good business. Like, if you literally send me the shorts, I will shout you out on Instagram. Your life will be great again. If not, I could call you out and your business will end. I've done it before. People in this business, that's the hard part about this business. Like, if you find a holy grail for someone and you sell it and you think you sold it too short, other people can reach out and say, listen, you sold it for $300. I'll give you $500. And that person will be like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I'll get bad feedback on eBay. I don't care. I'll take the $500. But in this business and in this culture, your word, your business, your name is number one. If that happened to me, I would fail. Like, my business would go under. How many businesses, restaurants go out of business because one person said there was a cockroach in that shit? Like, you need to like stay by your word. Like, if you came in my store and was holding a freaking Brad Doherty jersey and it was $100, and then someone comes in and goes, you know what? Fuck that. I'll give you 150. I can't take that money. I can't take that away from you. You have it in your hand. I'm not going to grab it and be like, nope, that guy is going to pay more for it. No, like, you sold it. End of story. You do not take any more offers. This is called bad business. Mm-hmm. So it happens a lot in this business. And it's unfortunate, but I'm glad we worked it all out. I got the shorts. I shouted them out on Instagram. Everything's all fine and dandy, and now I have the full set.
The Sambu, I love it.
They don't fit. They don't even fit. They're a size 34. I'm like a 40. They don't even fit me, but I needed these shorts, and they're so rare. They're and now the Nets are wearing these jerseys.
They are. You're right. They brought them back.
I feel like I put it out there that the Nets are wearing. They brought them back. They're so sick.
Oh, they are.
The set is fire.
You know what? Now that I think about it, you're asking about jerseys. You know what jersey I would actually love is a Drazen Petrovic, like number 3 throwback jersey from the Nets. That would probably be my number one, actually, now that I think about it.
On the Nets.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how many of those are out there, but I mean, I would like one. Yeah.
So those champion replicas are rare.
Okay, that's what I thought.
They're out there. The problem is the size.
The
44s, the 48s, probably in the 300 range.
Okay. And
that's a replica.
Wow.
I mean, it depends. Like, are you willing to spend that on a replica, or do you just go buy the Mitchell & S for $300 and it's stitched? But you, as an OG guy, you're like, Petrovic didn't play in Mitchell & S. I want a champion one. So that's where you get in that, are you the original guy? Like, do you want that 1970s Corvette or you want the new 2021 one?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, it's all relative what you like, but, you know, as a 90s basketball, you know, aficionado, you should have the original champion jersey.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it depends. But then you see like the Fabulouses, the Camerons, the 2003 Dipset era, and they're all rocking the Mitchell and S. So that's where, you know, that's where, you know, no one's wearing the 56 anymore. That's the issue. Like, a lot of people will bring in the 56s and they're size 40 now. And they're like, can I trade a 56 for a 40? I'm like, dude, no, like, I can't sell that. You know how long it takes to sell a size 56 jersey? It takes a long time, sometimes 6 months, and you get like
Wow.
$50. It's hard. So a lot of people who went to the NBA store back in the day would buy the 56 because that was the style, you know? So to find a 40 in a, let's say, I don't know, what's a rare jersey? Like the Mutombo wraparound. You find that in a 40, it's $500-600. You know,
Wow.
48's more common. You know, but then the Reeboks, they're like dresses. You know,
Yeah, you're right. They are. I think the size that I had back when I was a little kid when I got a lot of these. So I don't even know if they're 36, maybe. I can't even remember. They're smaller, obviously. And then as I got older, I got bigger ones. But a lot of my jerseys
are small.
Yeah, a lot of mine are probably 36. I would say over half of mine are 36 out of the 80 or 90 that I have, just because I was 10, 12, 13 years old when I got them. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. That's the hardest. It's the hardest size to sell. That's the problem.
Yep, it's got to be. It's got to be
the problem. But we'll start looking for your Drazen Petrovic jersey now.
I appreciate that, and that's something I would definitely. That's something that I would want is a Petrovic for sure. Now that I think about it, because I love that guy, and obviously what happened to him, passing away at a young age, and he's kind of an iconic guy. So yeah, that would be one I would be very interested in for sure.
Okay, we'll start looking. We'll keep our eyes open.
That sounds awesome, man. Well, Michael, again, appreciate you coming on the show and taking the time to do this. And, this has been great, and we'll definitely connect again for sure. But I love your page, follow your page, try to shout you out when I can. So, keep up the good work, man. And we'll definitely connect soon.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on, and let me know when it comes out, and then we'll post it up, and we'll hopefully get some good listeners on.
That sounds great, man. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
Anytime.
Have a good one.